So
Isn't it interesting, Sheikh, how people are drawn always in different situations to extremes? I see one extreme, people are saying this is nothing. This is just like the flu. People are overreacting. This is, hurting the economy. All these different, like, just belittling the threat of this virus. And then on the other hand, people are so scared as if, if somebody who has the virus looks at you, you can die. Or like if somebody, people are at such a heightened level of anxiety, Sheikh. You cannot cough or sneeze in public. You cannot do that. If you're gonna, you need to have a seizure to cover up that. You gotta pretend you're having a seizure. If you're coughing, you just gotta like mask it with a seizure. It's like, and people are like, oh, okay, he's having a seizure. Okay, but you cannot cough, you cannot sneeze in public. Like, people are on edge. So you have that extreme where people, if you cough in front of someone, they think maybe they have died, they're going to die now, they're the next person who's going to die. And then you have the other extreme where people are saying, oh, this is nothing. I think Islam is one of the most beautiful, in terms of the Islamic mindset, the iman-based thinking, is it balances you. We shouldn't fear it because we fear Allah, to that extent that we're, fearing someone that we should leave that fear only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at the same time, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 195, is not to throw yourself into destruction. You know what I mean? We're not going to belittle it. We're going to understand it. Ask those who know. Ask the people who are experts. And this is a legitimate pandemic. This is a legitimate worldwide concern. You do have people dying. Yes, it's a lot of elderly people, but there is also young people who are dying as well. Which they're having trouble explaining that, why there's so many young people who are dying. There are people who, the Prince Charles just got infected with that, and so like I'm sure he has access to like crazy amount of like technology and stuff. Like, these rich people have, they're probably getting crazy blood transfusions and all this cocktails of medicine and stuff like that, but it's not differentiating amongst people, and there are different types of people who are dying. And then even if you think, hey, I'm healthy, I can get through this, it's just like the flu, you can be a carrier and kill somebody else. So even that rhetoric of like, oh, it's just a flu, listen, maybe to you it might just be the flu, but it could kill so many other people. It could harm so many other people. Look what's happening. They're saying in Italy, the entire generation of people, like all their elderly people, all their grandparents, an entire generation is being wiped out, a whole generation. So, people are going in those extremes. And because of that, you're seeing it's leaving no place untouched. So now the United States, I don't know if they've overtaken China. So United States number of diagnosed infections, so not the deaths, but the number of diagnosed infections. Yes, they've overtaken China. So they're now number one. Okay, so they got there. They got to that number one status. But it's not a good number one, right? Because we're talking about over 82,000 cases and over 1,100 deaths. This is the statistic I received today. Okay, so China is like now second to them. So people, when they go to these extremes, like, okay, it's nothing, worry about the economy, or you go to the other extreme where you're going to be so fearful that you're afraid of everything that moves, or if a person has a cough or a sniffle, you're going in the wrong direction. They're both, I think, you're not going to be dealing with this issue in the proper way. And that's why in these circumstances, I feel it's such a blessing to have that iman-based thinking, or exposed to iman-based thinking, so we understand, we take things in a balanced way, that we don't just neglect it and at the same time are so fearful of it. So we should take that into consideration. If people are saying that we should take certain precautions, because if you are worshiping Allah, that is part of worshiping Allah, right? Is to prevent harm, right? Is the hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a Muslim is not somebody that harms others. You know what I mean? So it prevents yourself from being a harm to other people. So these are all, I think, ways that we understand our deen better. It's like that deeper understanding of that deen.